Welcome in to Seahawks Today Live. Tyler Jones here with you. So glad to have you with us. Thanks for spending part of your Wednesday afternoon here on the channel. It is a live edition of the show. We have plenty to get to on this Wednesday afternoon. We will be discussing some rumors involving DeForest Buckner. Could he be potentially headed to the Seattle Seahawks? Also, we'll break down Mel Kiper Jr.'s first mock draft, who he had the Seahawks selecting with their first two selections. We'll talk some cut candidates, some restructuring possible as well for Seattle, and we'll do not one but two news and rumors mailbags coming up throughout the show today. Let us know, where are you guys watching from this afternoon? Myself, joined alongside Jeremy Chuggs. We are at the Chat Sports Studios in downtown Dallas, Texas here, and we'll bring in Chuggs here in just a few moments. But I want to know where you are watching, and we will shout you guys out wherever you guys are at today. And it is certainly good to be here as Jeremy Chuggs joins in right now. Chuggs, how we doing?
Hands up and shout, hey, 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 hey,
hey. Crazy is checking in from Mississippi.
From Mississippi now. From Seattle now.
MISSISSIPPI.
Maricopa County now.
Maricopa County, hey, Seattle. Hey. Oh. Duke checking in from Lynchburg. Got Tyson in Portland. GP Game Z Lee Gamer in Utah. Teddy G in Lake Stevens, Washington. Ashley in Bellingham, Washington. Georgie in Elk Plain. Jeffrey in Beeham, Washington. I also have Seattle in the chat. Ray is checking in from Jersey. With the Seattle gang today.
He's just a Jersey boy.
Glad to see you all here. We're at 12 likes so far. Got 35 people already tuned in. As you guys file in, go ahead and hit that like button if you would. So John Little wants to clarify. Maricopa, Arizona, not Maricopa County in Arizona.
Yeah, I don't want to get that mixed up.
Yeah, Maricopa County's been in the news a little bit the last couple of years.
Just a little bit.
Let's see. Sam and Mavs in Virginia. Duke says, hey, Jeremy. Hey. Hey. Chad in Honolulu, Hawaii. Gabriel in Maui, Hawaii. I would love to be in Hawaii right now. I would love to be at the beach and enjoying things in Hawaii. Instead, we are bringing this show to you here from the Chat Sports Studios today. Jeffrey's got the right idea. Says, give the boys a thumbs up. That's right. Who do you like for the Seahawks pick at number 5? A coveted top 5 selection. What do you guys think? I have some thoughts, but I want to save those for when we dive into the segment. So I'll see what you guys have to say and what Jeremy Chuggs has to say. Jeremy, what do you think about that number 5 pick?
I'm growing more and more into the team of trade. Trade the number 5 pick.
Ooh, okay.
I think get assets going forward, maybe get a good player. I don't know. We're talking about somebody later on in today's show. But if you can get a really good – I mean, the number 5 pick is a great asset to have. If you could either trade back and get more draft capital or possibly get a star player, why not try to do that?
Right. So we were looking at trade proposals earlier this week, and Seattle could end up in a position where they back up a little bit and end up with draft compensation for next year, where they could go back 4 spots and end up with not only still getting, let's say, the number 9 pick, but then an additional pick next year. That's how Belichick and company won Super Bowls, was by continuing to benefit off of trading back and doing it in that front. It's just stockpiling picks. It worked for them. I see Crazy says, I like Tyree Wilson. John says the kid from Clemson. Which Clemson kid? There's a couple of them. Miles Murphy or Brian Breesy? I think you're talking Miles Murphy.
Not DJ Uyunglele.
Fraud. Jalen Carter says Tyson. Lloyd says definitely Stroud if Carter isn't there. Jack says praying for Jalen Carter to be the selection. I see either Stroud or Carter for me, to be honest. Okay, so there is not a consensus opinion. It seems like it's pretty well across the board, but we got months to figure this out. Who do you got in the NFC Championship game? The
I think everybody's gonna
Philadelphia
be with me.
Eagles or the San Francisco 49ers?
I think everybody's going to be with me. Fly, Eagles, fly. Let's go. F the 49ers. Let's go. Get those Phillies in there. I think we're all, birds of a feather flock together. Come on, Seahawks fans.
I think this Seahawks chat is definitely going to be rooting against San Francisco.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
necessarily rooting for Philly, but rooting against San Francisco.
Sam and Mav's vlog says San Francisco.
Okay. Crazy says, let's go Philly. Tyson's going Philly. Ashley wants the Eagles to win. Georgie's got Philly. Duke's got Philly. Jeffrey's got Philly. I got Philly winning the game, but I think it's going to be awfully close.
So that's your prediction. That's not who you think, though. Right?
Well, no, that is my prediction. That's who I think.
Oh, but that's okay. Never mind. I was tossed up. That's not who you want to win. That's your prediction.
No. I want Philly to win too. I'm rooting against San Francisco, like everybody else. But I do think, in all honesty, Philly wins this game. Teddy G with a super chat. We haven't even got to the super chat menu yet, and Teddy G already chiming in already. Teddy G says, I say Stroud because we will never have this high of a pick again. Otherwise, we grab Miles Murphy from Clemson. It's a very fair point.
I don't hate it.
It's a unique opportunity that Seattle has of having this number 5 pick when they're coming off of a playoff season. Yeah, I don't think that they're going to be in the top 5 anytime soon. It is a unique circumstance for sure, Teddy G. You have a very good point. In my mock draft last week, I had Seattle with when we did the simulation landing C.J. Stroud with that number 5 pick. So, Teddy G, you might be onto something there. Let's go ahead and show the happy hour menu. We have a good time here. It's happy hour. We enjoy ourselves here on these Wednesday afternoons. That $5 super chat means we got to sing the DK song. We'll get to that here in just a second. Any super chat gets you a shout out. $2. You can ask me or Jeremy Chugs anything. And every $150 we take down a boot. $10 we take down a shot.
Steve Bailey, that's hilarious.
Steve Bailey says, I thought you guys were saying 10-inch. That's funny. So we are breaking in today a brand new Seahawks boot. We filled up the last one. Mark Sanchez, it's in the mail. It may have already arrived at the Sanchez household. I don't know yet, but it'll be on his mantle in no time. So we got a new one. Who wants to be the first person inducted on the brand new Seahawks Boot Hall of Fame? $100, you get a spot, and you can be the very first one. Look, we went, about 2 months to fill up that first one? So this is not an opportunity that presents itself every day to be the very first one on a brand new Boot Hall of Fame. And you can drink with us basically every time we have the boot together. And you'll be right there with us. It's like you're drinking with us, basically, when you're on the Boot Hall of Fame. We'll do an induction ceremony for you and everything. $100, you get a spot on the Boot Hall of Fame. I would love to induct some people today and see who's going to be the very first one, Jeremy Chugs.
I agree. And, Teddy, you're 95 away. But before we even do any of that, we owe Teddy a little song.
1, 2, 3. Chomping, carols chomping, Geno passes, no one stopping. DK, touchdowns all day, he rules. Let's see who in the chat. What was that to the tune of? What famous commercial? Figure it out in the chat. Let's see what you guys got. Who do you got in the Bengals and the Chiefs? The AFC Championship game from Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. The 5th straight year the Chiefs have hosted the AFC title game. The Bengals got the best of the Chiefs last go-round. They've won 3 in a row against the Chiefs.
I kind of like Joe Shiesty.
It's hard to pick against Joe Burrow and the Bengals. It is hard to pick against it. But at the same time, too, it's Patrick Mahomes at home.
He's injured, though.
He's injured. I saw him walking today. He looks okay. I think Kansas City finds a way to get it done.
Yeah.
I'm definitely rooting for Kansas City.
So my pick to start the playoffs was Eagles, Bengals. I gotta keep on rocking with that. I'm gonna type my CI in right here. the Bengals are playing a type of offense that they are just unstoppable at the moment.
Yeah.
Their defense stepped up. I know in bad conditions in Buffalo, but their defense stepped up and stopped Josh Allen and that Buffalo offense in their tracks. They had no answer. So,
Mark Sanchez has checked in. Says Bengals versus Eagles. Okay. What do you got? Cincinnati or Kansas City?
I'm rocking with Mark. Bengals, Eagles.
Jack says Cincy. Ashley says Bengals. Let's see. Jeffrey says Mahomes isn't 100%. Mark is rooting for the Bengals.
Joe Brr.
Geno says Joe Shiesty winning the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
Duke says, I don't know who to pick. That's fine. It's okay. The main thing is
We want a good game.
we want back-to-back good games. Jeremy, I would argue this. Tell me what you think of this idea. That Championship Sunday, I think, is better than Super Bowl Sunday. It is more for the diehard fan. We get 2 games. We're not worrying about, being around our friends that are the casual football fans and trying to explain the game of football to them and worrying about the commercials or anything like that. No, we're just focused on 2 great football games.
Yeah.
I love Championship Sunday.
And, I mean, it's not the big game, but it's like, it's the precursor. It's the game to get to the big game.
Right.
It's kind of like, it's kind of like the Final Four,
Yeah.
in college basketball.
Like Final Four Saturday, yeah.
Yes. So I don't think that's a bad take at all, Tyler.
Yeah, I like Championship Sunday better myself. I see Tyson says Bengals because of Mixon. Duke says it's a good matchup. It is a good matchup.
I like the Bengals, but I have Bengals, Eagles, and I think the Eagles are winning it all this year.
Okay. I got the Chiefs and the Eagles,
And
with the
then-
Eagles winning it all.
Love that for us.
Yes. That should be a lot of fun. Our question of the day today, poll question, should the Seahawks trade for DeForest Buckner? 78% of you say yes. 22% say no. By the way, too, last week we ran out of time. We went off the air too early and didn't get to Mark's $20 super chat. So
Shot.
I said that we would pay that off today to make up for
Do you have 2
the
shot
ending.
glasses?
I do have 2 shot glasses. And
Let's go.
we will go ahead and take care of that to get things off to a firing start to today's show.
Also, I do have
What do you have?
what he said in the super chat. He said, Walter Jones is the greatest pick in Seahawks history. He had 3 penalties called on him in his entire career, and he spent that entire career in a Hawks uniform.
Walter Jones was a dog in a good way. Good type of dog.
Words
Yeah.
of wisdom from one Mark Sanchez.
So we'll take a cheers to Mark Sanchez. And we have the new boot ready to go. $100 gets you a spot on the brand new boot today.
We're just new boot goofing.
Who's going to be the one? Who's going to be the first one to buy their spot to get inducted on the new boot today? We'll see what happens.
Could be you.
Jeremy, cheers to you. Let's have ourselves a day, shall we? Seahawk fans, cheers to you. To the 12s out there, happy Wednesday. Happy hour. Enjoy a drink with us, and let's have a good time today.
If you got one, raise it up.
Raise them up.
Also,
Raise them up, baby.
Also, get those questions in using hashtag Seahawks. We're going to have a mailbag coming up after our first segment. Let us know your thoughts on the draft, your thoughts on this weekend, whatever you want to know. Any Seahawks question you want that you want Tyler to answer,
Yeah.
go ahead. Put it up there.
By the way, we got a new sponsor here at Chat Sports. It's called Fume. Check this out. Not a vape. And I got to tell you, I'm a fan. You like Fume so far?
Yeah.
Fume's been a really good product. Tastes great. Not a vape. Very important detail.
It tastes good. More than good.
They're great.
Oh, Tyler, you are one of a kind. You are one of a kind.
Oh, we got 75 people watching. We got 21 likes so far. Get me to 40, and then we'll officially start the show. I'm putting a minute on the clock. I want to double our like number so we can officially get this thing started. News and rumors coming up. We're going to react to Mel Kiper Jr. Does anyone even know who Mel Kiper Sr. is? He ought to just go by Mel Kiper as far as I'm concerned. We're going to react to.
I'm guessing it's his dad.
But no one knows who he is. So you might as well go by just Mel Kiper then, as far as I'm concerned. That's how I think it should be. If you are, not to get too off track, but if you are, let me finish this real quick.
So Kenneth Walker should just go by Kenneth Walker?
Yes. If your dad is not famous, then you shouldn't be a junior or a third or the fourth or whatever.
Because you alphaed him.
Right. Exactly.
You're ridiculous.
Like, I will never name my future son Tyler Jones Jr. or anything like that.
I mean, that'll be too much to live up to. I mean, the pressure on him, mounting it as he grows up, I don't know how any kid could deal with that.
Right. I mean, yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, like, there can only be one Jeremy Chuggs. You can't have Jeremy Chuggs Jr. Chuggin Jr.? No. I'm against juniors. All right, we're at 26 likes. I want to get to 40 on today's show.
Taker 610. If we can't get Young or Levis, is Young greater than Russ?
I think so. Okay. So the question is C.J. Stroud better than Russell Wilson?
I said Young.
Bryce Young.
Is Bryce Young better than Russell Wilson?
Maybe.
That's the part about the draft.
I don't really know. I mean, it's a fair question, Taker, but I don't have a definitive answer for you at this point in time. As far as the only thing we can judge that by, I'll say this, Jeremy, is that, like, coming out of college, granted, Russ was undervalued as a third rounder, but coming out of college, Bryce looks like a lot better prospect than Russ did coming out of college. That's the only thing we really have to compare them by.
Yeah.
At this point. So that remains to be seen. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. We're going to talk cut candidates. Also, we have our 2 rumors mailbags today. You want to get on the mailbag show, use the hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat to get on the said mailbag. And you saw the Super Chat that we had just come in, the $2 Super Chat. You can be involved in the show.
We can't start the show until we get the likes, though, Tyler.
I'm at 28 right now. I need 12 of you.
We drew a line in the sand.
I need a dozen of you out there to hit that like button.
A baker's dozen. I brought in 2 dozen donuts today.
Which was a great move by you. Krispy
Right?
Kreme. I meant to say thank you, by the way, buddy. Appreciate that. Krispy Kreme.
Anytime.
Jeremy Chuggs brought in Krispy Kreme donuts today. Krispy Kreme, definitely top 3 donut, right? Maybe of the chain donuts, maybe number 1. I like it better than Dunkin'.
Dunkin'? I do not. I'm not a Dunkin' fan.
Dunkin' is highly overrated.
Dunkin's, their best product is their coffee, and I don't even like their coffee. So that tells you what I think about Dunkin'.
I need 8 more. I need 8 more. Where are you at, guys? 8 more likes, and we'll officially get started with today's show.
This close.
It's close. I got my Bud Light in hand today. That's what we're going with. We'll change up.
Little Bud?
There was no Michelob in the fridge today, so I had to settle for Bud Light. I guess they're both from the Anheuser-Busch family. Let's see. 32. Where are we at? I need 8 more. 36. 4 more. 4 more. In fact, I'll even sweeten up the pot a little bit. We get our 3 more, and I'll even take a shot to add to that as well. Coach Dreadhead says, shout out to the Chat Sports crew.
What's up,
shout
Coach
out to you, Dreadhead. Thank you, Coach. There we go. We hit 40. I'll take a shot. We'll get started with our first segment here in just a moment as we are going to be reacting to Mel Kiper Jr.'s first mock draft, his picks for the Seahawks, and also some trade rumors to get to. We'll take a shot and get going on the party that we call Seahawks Today Live here on this Wednesday afternoon. Jeremy, you ready? Let's have ourselves a day today.
Let's have a day.
Cheers. All right. Welcome in to Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. So glad to have you with us. On today's show, we have the latest Seattle Seahawks news and rumors, those involving Mel Kiper Jr.'s latest mock draft, his first of the year. Where did he have the Seahawks going with their 2 selections? Also, we will get to a pretty big trade rumor with the Seahawks and DeForest Buckner. We'll tell you more about that in just a bit. Before we get to that, though, I want you guys to chime in early. As we begin today's show, who should Seattle draft with their first two selections? They pick at 5, they pick at 20. Who do you like for those picks? Let me know in the comments section who you want the Seahawks to draft with their first two selections, and we'll get started with today's show. Mel Kiper Jr. of ESPN, their lead draft analyst, put out his first mock draft today, and this is our first glimpse to see what Mel is projecting for Seattle with the two picks that they hold. And I'll say this much, there were some surprises for what Mel projected for Seattle with their two picks. So let's start out with that first pick, kind of set the scene for you here. Mel in his first four selections had the Bears going with Jalen Carter, C.J. Stroud to the Texans, Will Anderson to the Cardinals, Bryce Young to the Colts. And so then a couple notable names on the board still. Miles Murphy is there. You also have Smith from Texas Tech. You also have Will Levis. And what does Mel Kiper Jr. have the Seahawks select with the fifth pick? Dun, 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 dun. With the fifth pick of the 2023 NFL Draft, Mel Kiper selects for the Seattle Seahawks Will Levis, quarterback, Kentucky. What? Yes, I know what you're thinking. Will Levis here. I mean, that's not my favorite quarterback, but Mel Kiper has him as the number one QB in this entire draft. Here's what Mel had to say. Levis is going to be polarizing for the next few months. Turn on his tape, and you're going to see some poor interceptions and questionable decisions. But you're also going to see rockets that should have been caught in tight window throws that no other passer in this class can make. There will be a general manager in the top 10 who sees Levis's positives over the negatives. So I guess he's talking about John Schneider here. He also is ahead of the curve in learning a pro-style offense, because that's what he played in for the Wildcats. For the Seahawks, do they really think Geno Smith is their long-term answer? If so, they're going to have to pay him before he hits free agency in March. If they franchise tag him, though, they could play him in 2023 as the bridge to Levis, who can take over after some seasoning as the backup. So let's get you a little more information on Will Levis out of Kentucky. We mentioned he's the number one player on Mel's big board, and he is also the number 3 overall player for the draft. Levis, a 2-year starter at Kentucky, actually began his career at Penn State, lost that job to Sean Clifford, and ultimately made his way to the Wildcats, where he had a pretty good run playing under Mark Stoops the past 2 seasons. The numbers this year don't quite jump out, just under 2,500 yards passing, 65% completion percentage, 19 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions for Will Levis this year at Kentucky. So a very interesting pick, certainly eye-popping for Seattle to go in this direction. I have my one-word reaction that I'll give you here in just a second to Mel Kiper drafting Levis, but I want to hear from you first. Give me one word to describe what Mel has Seattle doing with this pick. I have some thoughts, but I want to hear from you first. Let me know in the comments section one word to describe Seattle going with Levis with this pick, according to Mel Kiper. Now, my one word is interesting. Although this is not the pick I would make, this is not the pick I would advise, I go in with an open mind of some sorts. I'm not ruling out that Will Levis can be a legit quarterback in the National Football League, but he's got a long ways to go to get there. I think he is a project on his hands here, essentially. To me, it's an interesting pick. It's not one that I say is a horrible pick, but it's not the pick I would advise necessarily going with Will Levis, in my opinion, at this position. But with that, that's not the only first-round pick the Seahawks have. Of course, they also pick later on at the 20th spot. So let's go ahead and skip on down, show you the first 4 picks before the Seattle pick at 20. Mel has the Commanders going with Broderick Jones, the offensive tackle from Georgia. The Steelers get Joey Porter Jr. from Penn State. Christian Gonzalez, a corner from Oregon, goes to the Lions at 18. And then the Bucs get Keon White, a defensive lineman from Georgia Tech. So who does Mel have the Seahawks picking at number 20? Well, we'll tell you that in just one moment. But before we get to that, let's tell you about our newest partner here at Chat Sports, Fume. I didn't have that pulled up. I thought we were playing the video. Oh, shoot. My bad. Hold on. Sorry, folks. Today's show is sponsored by Fume. We all have bad habits, and we certainly know how hard they can be to kick those habits. Our sponsor, Fume, is on a mission to accelerate humanity's breakup from the bad habit that consumes far too many of us. Fume is a natural diffusive device that uses plants and behavioral science to help you trade out your negative habit for a positive one. I didn't expect much out of Fume when I got it, but the minty sensation is really powerful and really hits the back of the throat. The Journey Pack comes with 3 unique flavors for you to enjoy: maple pepper, crisp mint, and white cranberry. Fume is not a vape. It is a non-electronic device designed to transform your negative habits. The easiest way to stop a bad habit is to switch to a positive one, and Fume is designed perfectly to do just that. Head to tryfume.com/chatsports and use code CHATSPORTS to save 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. That's tryfum.com/chatsports and use code CHATSPORTS to save an additional 10% off your order today. Fume, it's awesome. You got to get it today. You will certainly be glad you did. Moving on now, let's get to the second pick for the Seahawks here from Mel Kiper. Who does he have the Seahawks going with the 20th selection? Well, that would be Byron Young, the edge rusher out of the University of Tennessee. If you don't know who Byron Young is, that's okay. No judgment here. We understand if you're just learning about who Byron Young is. But let's take a moment to tell you about him and what Mel Kiper likes about the Tennessee edge rusher. Here's what Mel had to say exactly. Let's focus on the defense. The Seahawks struggled against the run this season. We know that Pete Carroll loves edge rushers. L.J. Collier didn't work out in round 1 in 2019. But Darrell Taylor, a round 2 pick in 2020, is coming off of a breakout 9.5 sack season. Bruce Irvin made his way back to the team in 2022, too. Young, another prospect who will be at the Senior Bowl, is intriguing. At 6'3", 245 pounds, he fits the mold of what Carroll wants from a front 7 defender, and he has some pass rush upside. He had 7 sacks and 13.5 tackles for a loss in 2022, showing off advanced moves. The Seahawks knocked their 2022 class out of the park, and a home run in 2023 could set them up for another long run of success. So, some high praise there from Mel Kiper on Byron Young. The background on Young: 2-year starter at Tennessee, was also first-team All-SEC this past season, and Mel has him as the number 3 outside linebacker on his big board. And the thing that jumps out statistically, not necessarily the tackle number at 37, but the sacks. This guy had 7 sacks this season and has the ability to be an elite pass rusher potentially. So this pick is very intriguing to see Mel go this direction with Byron Young here with this pick. And I'll say this. We will grade all of this here in just one moment. I want to give you my grade in a second, but I want to hear from you guys first. What would you grade Mel's mock? I'm very curious what this grade would be for you guys. A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know in the comments section what you would grade Mel Kiper's picks for the Seahawks in this mock draft. For me, I am going with a B-, and let me explain why. The Will Levis one, it's one of those high-risk, high-reward situations. Will Levis might have a lot of potential to be a superstar in the National Football League, but I think there's also a lot of room for him to be a bust as well. You don't really know. Byron Young sounds like a safe pick of sorts. And here's what I mean by that. I think when it comes to Byron Young, I think you're looking at somebody that is very good, that has a lot of athleticism, that can be a very good pass rusher in this league. And I would be shocked if we saw him not develop, if he didn't turn into something. How good he can be, that remains to be seen. But I wouldn't necessarily say the words can't miss, but I would say that the margin for him, just based on what I've seen so far, seems like that he could be a good fit for the Seahawks without having to be much risk of some sorts, that he could be a natural fit and get playing time right away potentially with this Seahawks team. So B-. It could be better, could be a lot worse, and you fill a need on that defense and potentially have your quarterback for the future. Let's shift gears now and tell you about DeForest Buckner, the star pass rusher for the Indianapolis Colts. Well, one former Seahawks quarterback has suggested that the team could be trading for the two-time Pro Bowler this offseason. And who would that be? Well, that would actually be Brock Huard, who does radio, of course, in Seattle as well for 710 Seattle Sports, also a football analyst for Fox Sports. And he threw this idea out there, and it's an intriguing one because Buckner still has 2 years left on his contract. And like what we talked about with Byron Young, this could be an impact player that is an instant upgrade to the defensive line, filling the D-tackle spot. The Seahawks have some major question marks when it comes to the defensive tackle position in 2023. And we've talked a lot about on this program how the Seahawks struggled so much in run defense last year. And you're looking for a guy that can kind of fill that gap, not only as a pass rusher, but a run stopper as well. DeForest Buckner could be your guy to do just that. And I know what you're thinking, too, because we had a couple comments about this. Like, why would the Colts be interested in trading off a good player like DeForest Buckner? Well, last time I checked, the Colts were a dumpster fire, and they are in rebuild mode. And now's their chance to capitalize and try to get something out of DeForest Buckner while they're going to be bad for a while. Here's Brock Huard on DeForest Buckner, the idea of potentially trading him. I mean, that guy is just different. And once again, you want to talk about just length and strength and different. He's 6'7". He would cost you a good $19 million. He's got 2 years left on his deal. It's not $40 million. It's not $30 million. It's $19 million this year. And like $20 million in 2024. West Coast guy, Hawaii dude, played at Oregon, top 10 pick to the 49ers. DeForest Buckner, for me in this game, you give me draft prospect Tyree Wilson, 5th overall. You give me DeForest Buckner. You want to talk about turning your defensive line immediately from a weakness to a strength. Those would be two pretty unique dudes to do it. So how about that idea? Potentially DeForest Buckner. We'll dive into more of that in just 1 second. Before we do, get rowdy in the comments section for me. Should Seattle trade for DeForest Buckner? If you think they should, type HY for hell yes. If you don't think so, type HN for hell no. Let me know in the comment section. HY for hell yes, HN for hell no. Do you want the Seahawks to potentially make a move for DeForest Buckner? Let me know. The numbers on DeForest Buckner the last several seasons. He's coming off a year where he had 74 tackles, 11 tackles for loss, 8 sacks, and 3 pass breakups. And you go back to 2020, he had 9.5 sacks that year with 58 tackles, 14 tackles for loss. This past year, he had more tackles than he had in the previous 3 seasons before that. So you're talking about a guy, DeForest Buckner, who's still got a lot of football left at this point in time, potentially. Now, I'll say this. There's a couple things that come to mind here. One of those is this would be an immediate upgrade with what the Seahawks have been through with that defensive line, with as much help as they need. You're talking about an instant impact right away that would help out this Seahawks team when it comes to the defensive line. And I know that at this time last year, we were talking about this being a rebuild and who the Seahawks moved on from. Not just Russell Wilson, but Bobby Wagner and company too. Now you come off a playoff year and you have such a strong foundation in place. Now I think is the time to be aggressive. Now you have a unique opportunity to capitalize on what you have of maybe spending money at positions you can now that down the road you're going to have to pay other positions. And so it's a unique opportunity. I think Seattle needs to be aggressive. There's no reason why they shouldn't make the moves necessary to try to be a contender next year as far as I'm concerned. Appreciate you joining us here on the channel today. As always, subscribe daily. Seattle Seahawks news and rumors. You'll be glad you did. YouTube.com/Seahawks TV. Turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. We'll see you next time here on Seahawks Today. All right. Comment section. What do you guys think? Should Seattle trade for DeForest Buckner? HY for hell yes. HN for hell no, as Jeremy Chuggs rejoins me right now. Chuggs, this seems like a home run, doesn't it?
I mean, I would do it, and I don't think you're going to need to give up the number 5 pick, and especially, like I said earlier, if you decide to trade back from that number 5 pick, you get, a couple, maybe another second round pick. You get a couple other late round picks, maybe a second and a third for DeForest Buckner. I don't know the exact trade value of what he would go for, but I mean, if the Colts are looking to build, if they're looking to get more picks, I mean, they have more holes to fill. Their defense, their secondary wasn't amazing. I mean, their offense definitely needs some playmakers as well. The quarterback position, they need some players as well. And I don't know if the new coach coming in is going to want, some of these older guys.
Right.
He might want his own guys. So I don't know. Harry, second and a third for DeForest Buckner. Too much? Too little? Second and
a fourth, and you still would keep a second in-house. Remember, you have 2 second-round picks. I like that idea. I love the idea of bringing in DeForest Buckner.
And the thing is,
here's Mark's idea. Mark Sanchez says a second this year and a third next year.
Depending on what the Colts are trying to do, maybe they take that, I don't know. They're throwing a lot about Will Levis right now. I don't know if that's a smokescreen. I don't know if they like any of the quarterbacks in this draft. Maybe they go after a Derek Carr. I don't know.
The thing also, too, for me that I like about where DeForest Buckner's situation is at, the 2 years on the contract,
yeah,
this is not a rental. You are going to bring him in for 2 years for sure, and then you evaluate things and decide if you want to keep him longer than that, but at least you know for sure that you're bringing in a guy in and not having to deal with contract stuff. That, to me, is a big plus.
And when you look at whenever the Seahawks defense was at its best, the Legion of Boom, you had guys up front like Bennett and Averill, guys that were able to, rush the passer and force the quarterback into bad throws. I think if you can get a couple pass rushers, a couple guys, Boye Mafe is going to be going into his second season. You still have Darrell Taylor. If you can add a little bit more pass rush help, especially along that defensive line, I don't know. John Ronta says trade Jamal Adams in a third for him. I don't know if they'll want Jamal Adams.
Yeah?
I don't know. He's coming off injury. I don't know what his value is right now. So the thing is, everybody's like, just trade Jamal Adams, trade Jamal Adams. If you don't want Jamal Adams, what makes you think that other teams want him right now, especially coming off an injury? I don't know what his value is.
Mark says, am I added to the new boot? So Mark, we'll induct you to the new boot because we owe you from last week. But I want to see if somebody else wants to join you today to be the first inductees of the new boot. $100, you're on the boot. You and Mark Sanchez will be our first inductees on the new boot Hall of Fame. Mark, I want to wait. I want to see who else is going to join you here for a second. We'll put the challenge out there. New boot ready to go.
New boot goofing.
Who wants to be the first one on the boot Hall of Fame? $100 gets you a spot. You will join Mark Sanchez and get this new boot started. And basically how this works is that for every $100 in Super Chats, you get a spot. And if we get to $150 in Super Chats today, we are drinking from said boot, which is 3 beers in one. We drink as fast as possible. We're at a grand spanking total of $7 right now. So that means we are 143 away from drinking the boot. So, in theory, you could buy a spot on the Boot Hall of Fame, and we could drink the boot at the same time. So, it's up to you guys. We'll see. Who wants to take part, wants to make the boot happen and get on the Boot Hall of Fame?
In the meantime, get your questions in using hashtag Seahawks, or you can super chat to skip the line. Let us know. You can ask Tyler anything you want on your Seattle Seahawks. Get in right now. Super chat, you skip the line. I'm going to start with Teddy's and Taker610's questions. But if you want to ask us any questions and get up on screen, just use hashtag Seahawks in your comment. Just like I've seen a bunch of people doing it so far in the comment section already. The
Crew just did.
The Pass Master. Who else has been putting hashtag Seahawks in there?
Elijah, that won't work. You got to do
Carson.
Seahawks. Not Seahawks Nation, just Seahawks. Elijah. Let's show them that super chat menu for those that are just getting in. We got 107 people watching so far, and we mentioned $100 gets you a spot on the Boot Hall of Fame. $150 total, we get to the boot. We are $143 away from the boot. $10 to take a shot. $5 we'll sing the DK song. $2 you can ask Beers Jerry Chugs anything. Any super chat equals a shout out. So we will go ahead and get started. Our first, let's get after it. Mailbag number 1 next here on Seahawks Today. It is Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Appreciate you joining us. On today's show, it is time for another mailbag. You have questions, you're in luck. I have answers, and we will get to all of those and more in just one moment. Before we do, you may be wondering, how do I take part in these mailbag shows? Well, if you subscribe to the channel, then you would know that we go live each and every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Usually do a couple of mailbag segments where we take your questions, we react to them, and it's your chance to be a part of this show, to interact and get involved. It is a lot of fun, and we enjoy it. It's on our live shows each and every week. Subscribe now, youtube.com/Seahawks TV, and join us for our mailbag shows. We begin with our first question from Crew018 writes, do we take a quarterback like CJ if they're available at 5? So what's interesting is that Mel Kiper did his mock draft this week, and he had the Seahawks grabbing Will Levis at number 5. I have some skepticism about Will Levis, but I'm going in with an open mind. That's not the pick I would make at 5, but I'm open to discussion. Now, I did do a mock draft myself last week, and you can go back and watch the video if you haven't seen it already, where with the 5 pick for me, C.J. Stroud was available, and I took C.J. Stroud. So, yes, Crew 018, if C.J. Stroud's there, I would take C.J. Stroud. If Bryce Young is there, I would take Bryce Young. But beyond those two, then I'm kind of like, not so much. I'm going another route, probably defense, with that number 5 pick. So, Crew 018, yeah, I like C.J. Stroud at 5 if he's there, but we'll see. The Passmaster writes, hashtag Seahawks. Tyler, no doubt they trade for DeForest Buckner. Would do nothing but help. I really feel like the draft has plenty to offer this team. Seattle only needs a few more pieces to take the next step. The Passmaster and OG here at Chat Sports checking in. Thank you, Passmaster. DeForest Buckner, we talked about that. A rumor that was out there brought on by Brock Huard, the former Seahawks quarterback, and also does media in Seattle, about the idea of bringing in DeForest Buckner. I would love to see Buckner in a Seahawks uniform and the instant impact he could bring to this Seahawks team potentially. And there are some needs to address for sure for this team to make the next step, but I don't think they're very far off. The foundation, the bricks are being laid, and this team is on the right track as far as I'm concerned. Mad Mel Kiper writes in. That's interesting because I don't think I've ever seen Mel mad. He's always like going with that goofy smile and that, fake hair he's got on his head. But nonetheless, Mad Mel Kiper writes, he sent in a question. Best trade scenarios for Lamar Jackson. Well, the best trade scenarios for Lamar Jackson, that's tough because what you would have to give up would be so much. Pretty much all you gained in the Russell Wilson trade last year, you would have to give all of that up for Lamar and then still pay Lamar. So I say all that to say I don't think there's any great scenario of sorts to bring in Lamar Jackson where you're not sitting there saying to yourself, man, we gave up a lot and taking a shot to the cojones, basically. So, Mad Mel Kiper, I don't see a great scenario to trade for Lamar, put it that way. ADHD writes, can you sign Geno and draft a quarterback in the first round? Yes. Yes, you can. Here's what I mean by this. I think, ideally, you want to give Geno Smith a 2 or 3 year deal anyway because he is an older quarterback, and you'll still want to see if he can do what he did last year, do it again this year. Kind of a prove-it deal of some sorts. At this age, I don't want to be giving a 4 or 5 year contract to a guy like Geno Smith right now. And so in that theory then, you could draft a C.J. Stroud or a Bryce Young to sit behind Geno Smith, and whenever they're ready, then they get the job. That could mean by the end of this year, that could mean even next year at some point. But yes, I think they are not mutually exclusive of some sorts. I think you can draft a quarterback in the first round and still sign Geno Smith. What say you? Should Seattle do both? Sign Geno and draft a first-round quarterback. Should they do both of those? If you think they should, type Y for yes. If not, if you don't think they should do both those things, type in for no. Let me know in the comment section. Y for yes, in for no. Geno for Hall of Fame. Whoa, that's aggressive, right? Hashtag Seahawks. Will Austin Blythe and Jackson, I believe that is Mike Jackson, be starters for us by next season? I hope Austin's not a starter for Seattle next year. I hope they find a better option for him at the center position. I think the Seahawks are kicking themselves that they missed on Creed Humphrey and Tyler Linderbaum the last 2 drafts. As far as Mike Jackson goes, will he be a starter? He could be. I think the Seahawks are going to look at options to potentially draft, and I think they hope that Kobe Bryant beats out Mike Jackson. I would say the likelihood is slim, but it's not impossible necessarily, the idea of now, the other Jackson possibility could be Gabe, besides just Mike Jackson. There are two Jacksons here. I don't think Gabe Jackson's going to be back next year. So I guess whether it was Gabe Jackson or Mike Jackson, chances are slim. Austin, I hope not. I hope he's not back next year. But thanks for the question, Geno. Duke wants to know, Seahawks is a sleeper. Is there a sleeper quarterback in this year's draft? I don't think so. I think everyone is pretty aware of the top 4, and I think there's a big separation from C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young to Anthony Richardson and Will Levis. I personally don't like Anthony Richardson at all. I think Richardson is a terrible prospect, to be honest. I wouldn't use a first-round pick on him. He kind of reminds me of the same problems that Malik Willis had last year, and Willis ended up slipping up to the 3rd round. So, no, I don't think there is a sleeper in this year's quarterback draft class, but we'll see what happens as we have the Senior Bowl and the NFLPA game, East-West Shrine game. You also have the Combine. There's plenty of time for one to spark up, but I don't think there's any sleepers right now. Today's show is presented by BetUS, the exclusive sportsbook partner of Chat Sports. If you go to chatsports.com/bet, you can get a 125% deposit bonus. When you use the promo code Seahawks125, you will get a 125% deposit bonus. Put $100 down, get $125 to spend for free. Chatsports.com/bet. You can bet on this weekend's NFL action. The lines are pretty close in that AFC Championship game and the NFC Championship game. NBA action you can bet on every night. College basketball as well. I would say this. My Kansas Jayhawks not playing too hot right now. Maybe fade the Hawks at this point. Not your Hawks, the Jayhawks, that is. Get your bets in now. Chatsports.com/bet. Next question. We know hashtag Seahawks need defense. What about signing Daron Payne or Deion Jones? I would love both those guys. I don't know if there's money to spend for both guys, but it's interesting the Deion Jones equation. That was actually brought up this past week about the idea of potentially the Seahawks bringing in Deion Jones. And we know the Falcons have been in rebuild mode, that they're looking to save some money and build for their future. And it seems, or actually Deion Jones, he was at the Falcons at one point, then, of course, went to the Cleveland Browns, and it seems unlikely that he's going back to Cleveland. And here's what NFL Analysis Network's Kenneth Teep had to say in regards to the idea of Deion Jones. In 11 games and 59% of snaps, Jones totaled 44 tackles, 6 of which were for a loss. He added 2.5 sacks, 3 quarterback hits, 1 interception, and 3 passes defended. Adding that kind of impact player to the mix would be a nice upgrade for the Seahawks defense, especially if they are unable to re-sign Cody Barton, who is also a free agent. Jones has been productive throughout his career, registering triple-digit tackles in every season he has played at least 15 games in. He's a proven playmaker, getting into the opponent's backfield with some regularity, and also holds his own in passing situations. So, yeah, I would be very interested in signing either one of those guys, Deion Jones in particular. But I want to know from you, who is your dream free agent target for Seattle this offseason? Give me a name or two that comes to mind who you think the Seahawks should look at this free agency period to potentially bring in to Seattle. Got time for a few more questions. Let's go to Teddy here. Teddy writes, I think the only problem with betting on the draft as the only way to improve is that not every player can make an immediate impact if they ever do. Teddy G, that's right. It's all about balance, right? I mean, think about the NFL offseason like an onion, okay? Here's what I mean by this. An onion has layers, okay? An onion, it takes the layers to all come together to complete the onion, right? Well, an NFL roster has layers too. Takes the NFL draft, takes trades, takes free agency to all come together and create the team that you want. And so I would say, well, I prefer doing whatever you can to build a young roster, your young core through the draft. I think that's your biggest layer of the onion here, but you still have to have a little bit of everything to put everything together. So with that said, yes, Teddy G, I understand where you're coming from. Your draft is priority number 1, numero uno, but your next layers all have to come together too. You have to do well in the other aspects to get it all together. So Teddy G, understand what you mean. That is the number 1 priority, but you have to do well with the others too. Ask the Cowboys, who have struggled in free agency and haven't done anything the last several years, and I think that's one of the biggest reasons why the Cowboys haven't won, anything, haven't been in the NFC Championship in over 20 years because they can't figure out free agents. Steve Bailey writes, which interior O lineman would you draft or pick up in free agency? Well, that is a very good question, Steve, and, looking at free agent offensive linemen at the interior. Ben Powers of the Ravens is one guy that's going to be available. Dalton Reisner, I really like from the Denver Broncos. He's another guy. Evan Brown. Those are just some of the names of the free agent offensive linemen, as here's a couple there from the folks at Pro Football Focus. Now, as far as the draft goes, you got guys like Osiris Torrance from Florida is a possible option. Joshua Gray from Oregon State is out there. Zach Center from Michigan. There are, Zach Center's actually going back to Michigan, rather. But nonetheless, Jarrett Patterson from Notre Dame's another guy. You got plenty of options. And it's not just the guard spot. Remember, you got to think about center as well. I doubt Ethan makes a homecoming. I don't think he's coming back to Seattle after going to Cleveland. But maybe a guy like Garrett Bradbury makes that move. I think more than likely you're looking through the draft at the center position of guys there potentially, but we'll see. As far as the interior linemen go for the Seattle, we'll keep tabs on that, but they certainly will need to upgrade there. Get Right says, could you see us trading Tyler Lockett for a high draft pick, like a second or a third? No, it doesn't make sense financially for the Seahawks to trade Tyler Lockett of what he would count against the cap and how the cap situation goes. The second and third, certainly he would be, have some value. You could get some good picks for him, sure. But with what he would count against the cap at this point, it just doesn't add up. Your money doesn't work for you that way. So I don't see Seattle trading Tyler Lockett. Kind of like what I talked about earlier. There's a chance for Seattle to kind of be aggressive and push closer to being a contender of some sorts. What you think? Name a player the Seahawks should re-sign this offseason. Who should get a new deal? Geno's the obvious answer. Who else do you like? Who should get a new deal? Let me know in the comments section. Last question from Organic Grows. Wonder what that means. Right? Hashtag Seahawks. I would move Jamal Adams to the linebacker position instead of safety, draft a edge rusher at pick 5, and safety at 20, pass on a quarterback. We're getting Geno back. The idea of moving Jamal Adams is interesting because you had Ryan Neal and Josh Jones do a pretty decent job when they filled in with Jamal Adams going down. So that does provide some flexibility. And we know the Seahawks are shorthanded at the linebacker spot with Jordan Brooks going to be out for most of next year. So that's an interesting idea. And then edge rusher and safety going defense at those spots, that makes sense. Seattle, we've talked about on this show with their numerous needs. Passing on a quarterback, to me, I'll say this. I'll reiterate this, and this is going to be kind of my theme of some sorts for the next couple of months. If Seattle falls in love with a quarterback, if John Schneider and this scouting department says, we really love C.J. Stroud, we really love Bryce Young. Heck, even if they love Will Levis, if there is somebody they fall in love with, you take the quarterback that you want to marry and you fall in love with and you make it work. But if you don't feel that certain way, then you just don't draft and you take another position of need of sorts. So that's where I look at that, Organic Grows. Thanks for the question. As always, you can interact with me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Tyler Jones Live, talking about your Seattle Seahawks there. And I will see you next time here on Seahawks Today. All right. National Irish Coffee Day is today. I'm a big coffee drinker. Jeremy Jugs, what's your favorite hot drink?
My favorite hot drink, I'm a sucker for some apple cider. I do have to say that.
Yeah?
Hot chocolate's up there. Coffee, but it's like I like coffee, but it has to be super sweet. So I don't know.
Yeah. Hot drinks for me. I love me some coffee.
Have you ever had a hottie toddy?
No. What is a hottie toddy?
Wait, say that again.
Hottie toddy.
Why do you say hottie like that?
Oh, I was just being funny.
Is that really how you say it?
No, I was just being funny.
I feel like that's how you say it.
No.
Say hottie toddy.
Hottie toddy.
Okay, maybe. I believe it's like a warm drink with whiskey in it.
Okay.
Tea with whiskey.
Tea with whiskey.
Hot tea's really good too. Petey, favorite hot drink? He goes, hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate?
Hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate's got to have whipped cream. If it doesn't have whipped cream, it's not hot chocolate.
Jonesy's a sucker for whipped cream.
Pause.
What's a nightcap?
What is a nightcap?
Petey, do you know what a nightcap is? Do you know what a nightcap?
But what's in it? Yeah. It's anything.
Oh,
okay. So if I just wanted to drink Fireball before I go to bed, that'd be a nightcap. Okay.
Saigon.
So Saigon, tell me this then: what is your nightcap consist of? Steve Bailey, maybe Penny. Okay, they're talking football. Yet you can't go wrong with a good hot drink, especially on a cold winter day.
It's cold outside here.
Baby, it's cold outside. Steve Bailey says coffee, hot chocolate, heavy Jameson, and whipped cream. Wayne says a nightcap is a drink taken shortly before bedtime. Wayne, we figured that out, but we want to know what Steve what a Saigon, and maybe some others, what their nightcap consists of. I'm very curious what the answer is on that. What do you guys think? Let's see. Ashley says, weird. Been trying to send a super chat, but it won't let me. Ashley, tell you what, if you're having problems sending a super chat, you can always use Venmo instead. You can Venmo me at Tyler Jones Live if you're trying to send something our way and super chat's not cooperating.
Yeah, You can Venmo Tyler, put in your question using hashtag Seahawks. I'll put it up, and then we'll do whatever you send.
We'll do it it works the same way.
Yeah, we'll take shots. We'll do whatever you want, or if you just want to make sure your question's on, we got you.
Sure, all right, we'll take care of it. Yeah, if Super Chat's giving you issues, then go ahead and you can Venmo us. That works too. Saijan says rum or vodka with coffee or hot chocolate is his nightcap.
Oh yeah. All right, I think we're ready to go for this next segment real quick. Just cold open, and then we do have the video for this one. This is the one we did actually do.
Okay, yes. We'll get to that. Duke said, that was my bad on that one earlier, guys.
Yeah, we're going to have to refilm.
Yeah, sorry about that, fam.
Oh, God.
Duke the God says hot tea with lemon. Okay. All right, so we got some interesting choices there. Can't go wrong with a hot tea, although I do like cold brew myself, too. Let's see. Hot coffee and hot chocolate is my favorite. Okay. Very nice. Let's see. So we got this next segment, then we got a mailbag. Let's go ahead and get to our next segment as we are talking cut candidates.
Harry, you just got to go back and show them. Harry, you just got to go back and show him the clip.
Oh, no. We're reliving that again? Great.
Cold open style. You ready?
All right. If you think the Seahawks are going to have a great offseason, then let's go ahead and do a quick survey here on today's show. If you're pretty confident that they will, go ahead and hit the like button. If you don't think they're going to have a great offseason, if you're a little skeptical, that's okay. Comment and tell me why, and we'll get started with today's show. It is Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Appreciate you joining us. On today's show, we are going to be discussing cut candidates. Somebody's got to go. The Seahawks are trying to look for cap space, trying to save every dollar they can, as they obviously have players they would like to be able to re-sign, and then also got to be able to pay your draft picks that are coming in. So how does that all look? Well, we'll go through those. Also some potential restructures for Seattle as well. Before we get to that, though, quick trivia question on today's show. What team did Seattle beat for their first regular season win? Let me know in the comments section, and we will answer it at the end of today's show. A little tease for you. See if you can figure out who the first team Seattle beat. No cheating. Can't look it up. See if you can figure it out in the comment section below. Cut candidates. Today we will break down the top players that the Seahawks could cut and also potential replacement options for Seattle as well. Who are some names that the Seahawks could potentially move on from? Well, we've compiled a list, and we will go over those and break those down one by one. Let's begin with cut candidates here. We start with Gabe Jackson at the offensive guard spot. And if they cut him, they would save about $6.5 million potentially is what they could save. And for a guy that has had questions about his availability, he is an older guy, of course. And you look at the numbers, according to Pro Football Focus, the grades for Gabe Jackson last year were nothing really to write home about. A 55 overall grade, 51.1 pass block grade, run block grade 53.8, and then 2 sacks allowed for Gabe Jackson in 2022. So if they move on from Gabe Jackson, save that money, that would probably be money well saved. Next on the list is Quentin Jefferson, and we have said a lot over the last few months that the Seahawks really struggled when it came to the run defense, in particular with the defensive line. And you look at Quentin Jefferson, the $4 million you'd save, the production was not what it should have been. 29 tackles, 5.5 sacks, 6 tackles for loss. I think Seattle can do better. They can get more out of what they're paying for in Quentin Jefferson with that $4 million they could save. Then there's Brian Mone, who would be close to $3 million. Mone had some moments at the end of the year. But, I mean, you look at his statistics, too. How many sacks is that? That's not 1, that's not 2, that's not 3. That's zero. Zero number of sacks for Brian Mone in 2022. Was not that great of a year for Brian Mone, and there's potential for him, for the Seahawks to save money of that $2.8 million there for Seattle if they were to move on from him. We'll get back to Seahawks cut candidates in just one moment. New sponsor alert. Seahawks Today is sponsored by Athletic Greens. I take AG1 by Athletic Greens literally every day. Get comprehensive and convenient daily nutrition at athleticgreens.com/chatsports. I gave AG1 a try because I wanted better gut health and wanted a supplement that actually tastes great. I take AG1 every morning, and it makes me feel ready to take on my day. I came into this year wanting to get healthier, and starting my year on AG1 has helped me do just that. I take it every morning, and I feel the best I have ever felt. Covering my nutritional bases for the day literally couldn't be easier, which is why I trust Athletic Greens. I just mix 1 small scoop of AG1 with water and drink it first thing each morning. Done. I also like that it costs less than $3 a day. Pretty good if you ask me. It's a really effective daily habit with the highest quality sourced ingredients. Win-win. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/chatsports. That's athleticgreens.com/chatsports. Check it out. The link is in the comments and the description of today's video. athleticgreens.com/chatsports. So, as our boy Tyson would say, no money for Monet at that $3 million if they were to cut him and save. Then there's Al Woods, also another defensive tackle who Seattle could save some money. About $3.1 or $3.67 million they could save if they cut from him. And kind of what we talked about with the other two guys. Not a whole lot of production to show for this year from Al Woods. 39 tackles, 2 sacks, 5 tackles for loss. So with that, those are the candidates. I have some restructure ideas here in just a second that we'll get into. But let's start with just the cut candidates themselves. If you made the call and said, all right, somebody's got to go, who's it going to be? Is it going to be Gabe Jackson? Is it going to be Brian Mone? Is it going to be Quentin Jefferson? Al Woods? Let me know in the comments section. Type GJ for Gabe Jackson. Type BM for Brian Mone. Type QJ for Quentin Jefferson. And type AW for Al Woods. Let me know in the comment section below who would be the guy you would cut. Now, Quandre Diggs is coming off a Pro Bowl season, and he finished off the year very well. Obviously, you don't want to cut Quandre Diggs, but you would like to be able to restructure things and try to make your money work for you, as Dave Ramsey would say. And so if you were to restructure Quandre Diggs, you could potentially save up to $6.12 million if you're able to work around and keep Quandre Diggs around of some sorts. That would be a big help for Seattle if they're able to do that when it comes to Quandre Diggs. Another guy for Seattle that they could work with is Shelby Harris, and that would be giving him an extension. And an extension for Shelby Harris would be somewhere in the neighborhood of saving close to $6 million potentially for Seattle. So all of a sudden, we've just talked about 6 guys when it comes to restructure, extend, and cut. And Seattle has gone from what looks like $31.5 million in cap space to begin with to a whole lot more flexibility that they had beforehand. And in all honesty, you don't lose that much. The main thing, you can't obviously cut Quandre Diggs, but if you can restructure and make things work and then do the other things like we mentioned, extend Shelby and maybe cut those other guys, watch out. Now you've made your money work to your favor. And so you maybe ask yourself, well, then what do you do if you make those changes? How do you replace those guys? Well, let's look at what Mel Kiper has to say by position. Let's start out with the offensive guard spot. Some guys in the draft potentially. And I don't know if Seattle is going to use their 2 first-round selections to get a top 4 guy like you're seeing on your screen right now, but there are options like Osiris Torrance and Joshua Gray potentially there at the offensive guard spot. Defensive tackle also with some options available in the draft, according to Mel Kiper. And this, I think, we could see Seattle end up with either one of their first 2 picks. They'd love to have Jalen Carter. Doubt he's available at 5. Brian Breesy could be an option for Seattle as well. And then you start to have a drop-off after those 2 when it comes to the defensive tackle spot. Then some center options potentially. The last 2 years, you missed on the chance to get Creed Humphrey or Tyler Linderbaum. But this year's draft, you look at John Michael Schmitz out of Minnesota. He's up there. Even if you go down to like Jonathan Tippmann from Wisconsin, there are a couple guys that would be potential upgrades over what you saw from Austin Blythe this past year. The safety spot, now, here's the thing. When it comes to the safety position, we obviously want to see Quandre Diggs back. But maybe you move Jamal Adams to linebacker, then you have a need at the safety spot. There's guys like Brian Branch, Antonio Johnson. There's potential options there. Even Christopher Smith from Georgia had an impact on that national championship team this past season. So, got more names that we're going to run through here in just a second. But name a player you want the Seahawks to draft this year. Who comes to mind? Besides just need, what players do you like? Who would you like to see in a Seahawks uniform? Let me know in the comments section below who comes to mind, who you'd like to see for this Seahawks team next year. Subscribe today for the latest happenings on your favorite team as we cover the Seahawks like no one else does with daily news and rumors, counting down the days to the draft, trades, free agency, and more. If you love the Seattle Seahawks, I got the channel for you. Subscribe now for everyone's favorite price, free. Turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. YouTube.com/Seahawks TV. The free agent market now. Let's go over those. Some of the players to watch according to PFF. At the guard spot, Ben Powers from Baltimore. Ben had a breakout year for the Ravens this past year. I also am not sleeping on Dalton Reisner from the Denver Broncos. He was a really good player out of Kansas State for his career, his 4 seasons. I believe he was the starter all 4 years with the Wildcats, and he is a leader in the locker room as well. He'd be a welcome presence for Seattle, potentially at the guard spot. Center position, doubt Ethan is making a comeback to Seattle, but you do have some other names like Connor McGovern from the Jets, Garrett Bradbury from Minnesota. I would say that you're probably better off drafting, but there are some guys there when it comes to free agent centers. Defensive tackle, this is where it's at, folks. Javon Hargrave. If you're looking for somebody to scout or intrigue of some sorts this weekend in the NFC Championship game, be watching on the defensive line to see what Javon Hargrave can do. Deron Payne is going to be freed of some sorts, getting out of Washington. Would love to see him in a Seahawks uniform. Dalvin Tomlinson. You go to the safety spot. Jesse Bates for the Bengals is a bad man, as is Jordan Poyer from the Buffalo Bills. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, also another good player from Philly. There's plenty of good players when it comes to that safety spot as well. So we'll see what the Seahawks do. I'll say this. I know that we kind of become attached to these guys. The guys you root for become like family of some sorts. But at the end of the day, folks, let's be real. This is a business. You can upgrade. You can move on from some guys and get better. Let's see this Seahawks team get better. I want to know, name a player the Seahawks should sign in free agency. Who comes to mind? Let me know in the comments section. As always, you can interact with me on social media, Twitter and Instagram at Tyler Jones Live, and we will see you next time right here on Seahawks Today. All right, we got another mailbag here in just a second, but first, hold on here, folks. Get ready. Get ready for this. Everybody get on your feet. Get ready to go. We got a big thing on hands. This one courtesy of Ashley coming through on this. We'll throw this on screen here. We're waiting on this all come through. This is going to be quite the moment we have on hand here, folks. Here we go. 3, 2. Are we ready, Jeremy? Almost. Here it is, folks. Bang! A $100 Venmo from Ashley Bach checking in. And Ashley and Mark Sanchez are going to be the first new members of the Boot Hall of Fame. The brand new Boot Hall of Fame, Ashley and Mark Sanchez, welcome to the brand new Boot Hall of Fame. Everybody spam Ashley in the chat. What a moment. Ashley, congratulations on making the Boot Hall of Fame. What an accomplishment, and to be on the brand new Boot Hall of Fame, to be the first inductee along with the great Mark Sanchez. This is a great moment. I'm very happy for Ashley. This is as good as it gets. I mean, everybody works their entire life to be able to have moments like this, to be on the Boot Hall of Fame. And Ashley, congratulations. You are a real one. You are one of the best Seahawk fans out there. Congrats to you. Thanks for your support. And you are now a member of the Boot Hall of Fame. Everybody spam Ashley in the chat. Congratulations. Mark Sanchez, man, what can I say about Mark Sanchez? I mean, he is as good as it gets. We are lucky to have people like Mark Sanchez in our lives. Everybody needs a friend like Mark Sanchez. And so congratulations to Ashley and Mark Sanchez, our first two inductees in the brand new Boot Hall of Fame. And that means we also have some other super chats we'll catch up here in just a second. But we are now with about $116 in. That means that we are $37 away from Dot's Boot, where we will do our first ever boot here with a brand new boot. Who's going to come through? 34. I'm not great at math. That's why I work in the media, because I can't do math. $34 away from our first of the brand new boots. We'll do it in honor of Mark. We'll do it in honor of Ashley. $100 gets you a spot in the Boot Hall of Fame as well. Who is going to be able to do it, get the job done as I officially put Ashley in the Boot Hall of Fame? Congratulations, Ashley. Mark Sanchez also getting his spot on the Boot Hall of Fame as well. We'll see who gets the job done. I mean, Chugs, we did the inductions. We did the two Hall of Fame inductions. But, I mean, it would be incomplete if we don't actually do the boot either. 34 away.
100%.
There they are. They're right there.
Ashley.
Ashley. Ashley. Ashley.
Ashley.
So you can super chat or you can Venmo like Ashley did, and you can get your spot potentially on the Boot Hall of Fame as Mark and Ashley are on it. Ashley says, thank you so much. Ashley, thank you so much. Thanks for being a part of this show and for your spot on the Boot Hall of Fame. One more segment, our mailbag, final mailbag of the day. Got a question? Use the hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat to get to the front of the line. Let's go ahead and answer those other Super Chat. Pay those off here. The Super Chats that came in during the segment.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. We'll pay those off. We got some drinks to have here. But cheers to you, Ashley.
I think the only thing we owe is one DK song for Corey Olson.
One, and the $2 one we'll get in the mailbag?
Yeah, we're going to put these in the mailbag.
Okay, but the DK song for Corey. Corey, thanks for the Super Chat, man. Just for you, we will do the DK song. 3, 2, 1. Choppin', carols choppin', Geno passes, no one stoppin', DK, touchdowns all day, he rules. Harrison Graham in the background's, just shaking his head, like just digging that song. I mean, it makes you hungry for some Burger King, maybe not actually.
Makes me hungry for some DK touchdowns.
DK touchdowns, yeah.
DK
touchdowns all day.
He rules.
Super chat or use the hashtag Seahawks to get on the show. Oh, Mark with a $40 Venmo. Boot. That didn't take long. Mark, my man. We'll throw the Venmo graphic up for you here in just a second, Mark. Mark never fails to amaze me, my guy. Mark is truly one of a kind, and he was not going to pass up an opportunity for that boot. So we got a boot that is coming on the way. Ashley with a $100 super chat. Mark with a $40 super chat. and we are going to do Das Boot. We will pay that off. Mark Sanchez, my guy, a Boot Hall of Fame member and OG on this show. It always feels like Seahawks Today presented by Mark Sanchez. And Mark is on the Boot Hall of Fame, as is Ashley, and we get to take down the first ever boot of this new boot on our way. And Chugs is going to go get it ready for me. We'll take it down and enjoy ourselves today. Man, Ashley says, it's such a catchy song, and yes, DK touchdowns. Yay, Mark. Everybody spam Mark in the chat. Spam Mark, let's go. Oh, my gosh. What a day. Ashley, I'm so happy for Ashley. You know, my sister's name is Ashley, so I feel a connection of some sorts here. Ashley, thanks for the love, showing the support there, and chiming in on the show at that, getting in that super chat. We will pay off the boots. And Mark, with that 40, that's the equivalent of like 4 shots. So I think, for all intents and purposes, we need to break out the boot with a jungle boot here. I'm going to put 4 shots in Das Boot, and we'll make this a jungle boot to kick off the party with this boot as we break in the new boot on the show. Duke says, Mark, congratulations. Yes, congrats to Mark. Mark, they don't make them like Mark Sanchez every day. I can tell you that much right now. There it is. There's Das Boot. And the 4 shots, I said I would go ahead and just add about 4 shots to Das Boot. I'm going to go ahead and take down this boot, and we'll get the party started. So here we go. Yeah, there we go. Jungle boot. Heavy metal thunder. Oh, yes. All right, what do we think? I'm feeling tonight I can do under 18 on Das Boot. I'm feeling under 18 tonight. Jeremy, do you think I can do under 18 tonight?
I think you can. I think you can do anything you put your mind to.
Duke says, TJ, be careful, my man. Hey, you know what?
Thunder. Da, da, da,
Whoa, thunder. All right, so Jeremy is going to do the play-by-play, and I'm going to try to take down this boot in under 18 seconds. Type O for over, type U for under, 18 seconds. What do you guys think in the chat? Jeremy's got the timer out. He's going to do the play-by-play, and here we go.
All right, TJ, you got this. You got this. As soon as it touches, this is a jungle boot, too. If he can do it in under 18. Wayne said it at 16.4. Let's see.
16.4. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. He's off. Strong start for the young steed. He's going with the sideways tactic to avoid a big bubble on the toe of the boot. He's almost done. He's almost done.
Oh,
20.79.
No. 20.79. I'm sorry. I failed you, America.
No.
Man.
That was a good effort, though.
I thought the effort was there. I'm shocked that it was 20. Did you start me early?
No.
Okay.
You can roll back the clip.
Okay.
Ashley said I say 17 seconds.
Oh, man.
I thought I started it at the right time. Dirty deed. Oh, no!
My personal record is like 13 or 14.
I looked over, I was like, he's gone fast.
Yeah. Oh.
Dirty D is right. You started strong. About around 12, 13 seconds, you kind of leveled off right there.
Okay. Started out too hot, maybe.
Another $100.
Another $100. I'll try again. Let's see. So we are at, quick math, 140 plus 16. We're at $156. So another $100, you get a spot in the boot hall, another spot in the Boot Hall of Fame. And then if we get collectively another 143, then I will do another effort. I know I can do better than that. Wayne says TJ needed to prime the pump before he takes on Boot. What does that mean?
Oh.
Punk?
All right.
So that's what we'll do. I'm fired up right now. I want to beat. I know I can do better than that.
I'm fired up.
I'm fired up. 143. Can we do that collectively? Can we get another 143 to give me another shot? I know I can do better than that.
We have until the end of this mailbag.
Okay? We're going to do another mailbag. Send in your questions using the hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat to get on the mailbag. I mean, I didn't get no spillage, though.
No spillage.
It was clean. It was a clean boot. But I should have done better. So, mailbag coming up next here on the show. We'll go ahead and get started right now. Jeremy, we all set? Good to go? All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Time for another Seahawks Today mailbag. Tyler Jones here with you. Appreciate you joining us. Our mailbag shows, we answer whatever questions you guys have that you send us on the live show that we do each and every Wednesday. And you may be wondering, well, what do I do to get the latest on the channel? Well, the easiest way is to turn on notifications. So go to your phone, go to settings, scroll down, tap YouTube, and tap notifications, and turn on allow notifications. And you are going to be the first to know everything we do here on the channel. So you can be a part of our live shows, so you can get the latest happenings on your favorite team. It's all in one place. Subscribe now, turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. First question from Corey with a $5 super chat. My friend said we can't win a Super Bowl with Geno. I told him he's crazy. You get some pass rush, some good linebackers, and this team looks way different. Well, Geno just went to the Pro Bowl this year, so he put himself among that upper echelon of quarterbacks in the NFL with what he was able to do. But think about the quarterbacks that are in the championship games this weekend. You got Brock Purdy, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, and Joe Burrow, okay? And, you know, I think Geno played just as good this year as Brock Purdy did. The other three are in, you know, their own elite status of sorts. But we've seen in the past, look at the guys that have won Super Bowls. Nick Foles won a Super Bowl. Joe Flacco won a Super Bowl. Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. Okay? I mean, you do not have to have, you know, Daddy Warbucks to be your starting quarterback. We've seen that in years past. I mean, even Russell Wilson, year 2, was not an elite quarterback yet at that point in time. You don't have to have the all that in a bag of chips quarterback. You just have to have a guy that can make the big-time throws and limit mistakes. And we know Geno can do that. So I would say if Geno played like he did last year, that would be good enough. If everything else went right, a team could get to a Super Bowl, could win it with Geno. Corey also wants to know, I'm warming up on Myles Murphy. Lots of potential. Yeah, I like Myles Murphy too. And if the Seahawks are sitting at 5 and C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young are off the board, and if we see Will Anderson and Jalen Carter off the board, that's the pick for me. Myles Murphy, a lot of potential. I agree with you. That could be a good pick for Seattle. I think you come away, if you end up with Myles Murphy, you sit there and you say to yourself, okay, this wasn't my first choice, but I'm not mad about it either. Christy writes, we know the Seahawks need help at cornerback. What about signing Marcus Peters? Could he fit in here? Look, I've watched Marcus Peters his entire career. I used to cover the Chiefs in Kansas City and saw Marcus Peters from the very beginning. And Marcus Peters has a lot of raw talent. He's had a very good career. But to put it mildly, Marcus Peters has been a knucklehead throughout most of his career. And we started to see this past year when he came back from injury and played for the Ravens this year, he had started to lose a step. And he's always been a gamer of some sorts. Either he gets the interceptions or he gives up the big plays. And this year he was starting to give up more of the big plays than he was the interceptions. So to me, I'm kind of out on the idea of Marcus Peters because I look at it this way. It's an aging corner who gives up big plays and he can be a headache in the locker room too. No thanks. I don't want Marcus Peters. What do you think? Sign Marcus Peters? Bring Marcus Peters to Seattle? Y for yes, N for no. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section if you want to see Marcus Peters make his return to the Pacific Northwest. The Passmaster writes, I'm excited for Kenneth Walker year 2, as you should be. Kenneth Walker was fantastic this past year as a rookie and made his case to be Rookie of the Year. I liked everything I saw from Kenneth Walker, and he did so behind a bad offensive line. If they can get him the necessary offensive line help, watch out. Kenneth Walker could be something very special, could have a nice encore in 2023 as far as I'm concerned. Crew 018 writes, opinion on Jack Campbell in the second. So Jack Campbell I had in a mock draft from Iowa. He was in our Seahawks mock draft last week, I believe, that second-round selection. And, 6'5", 246 might be a little bit undersized, but he is a tackling machine. 115 tackles last season with no sacks and 1 forced fumble. And when you look at this Seahawks team with not having Jordan Brooks for most of next year, this is a guy that could fill that void. Remember, it's going to be a collective effort to replace Jordan Brooks. It's not going to be just one guy. Jack Campbell could certainly ease that pain of not having Jordan Brooks around for part of next year as far as that goes. Jack Campbell? Maybe so. We'll see. Today's show is presented by BetUS, the exclusive sportsbook partner of Chat Sports. Go to chatsports.com/bet. Enter the promo code Seahawks125. You'll get a 125% deposit bonus. Put $100 down, you get $125 to spend for free. Bet on this weekend's NFL playoff action, some NBA, college basketball, whatever you're feeling, get your bets in now. Chatsports.com/bet, promo code Seahawks125. Still Flying wants to know, should we trade up for Bryce Young? I'll look at it this way. Think about this. So if you trade up for Bryce Young, you probably have to move up to number 2 or number 1. I don't see him slipping past 2, okay? So then you're looking at giving up the 5, probably the 20, and then maybe another pick as well. To me, I think that asking price might be just too much as far as that goes. I like Bryce Young. He's my favorite quarterback in this draft. But to me, that's just a lot to give up potentially to move up to secure a player like Bryce Young as far as I'm concerned. Not to mention, he's 6 foot, 6'1" in height. A short quarterback trading all the way up to one of those top 2 spots. I would say no for now anyway. Trade up for Bryce Young. What would you do? There used to be a show on ABC called What Would You Do? I believe it was John Quinones that hosted that show. I loved that show, by the way. I think producer Chugs liked it too. What would you do, as John Quinones would say? Would you trade up for Bryce Young in this case? If you would, type T for trade. If not, type P for pass. Let me know in the comment section. T for trade, P for pass. Matthew writes, go all defense in the first round. D tackle, linebacker, strong safety. That sounds like a good idea in theory, but as I said in my mock draft last week, there are certain guys that if they're available, you can't just pass up on. Okay? I mean, what did we talk about last week? C.J. Stroud, if he's there at 5, I can't say no. Quentin Johnston, if he's there at 20, I can't say no. I see what you mean. In principle, yes. But let's see how the board works for you as far as that goes. But, Matthew, I understand, but let's see how the board works. Go in with an open mind. Duke wants to know, hashtag Seahawks and Jeremy, as I believe we're going to bring in Jeremy Chugs here. Who is a sleeper defensive player in this year's draft? Jeremy, let you start. What do you think?
So I got a couple names for you. As I look at my notes over here, I don't remember how to pronounce his first name. I think it's Jair Brown, the safety from Penn State. A great guy to look at. He really showed out in the Rose Bowl this year.
Yeah.
He played very well. Another one, Mozzie Smith, the edge rusher from Michigan. That could be a middle round guy that you could get. I think he's an athletic freak. I love what he gives you. And I think, if you don't go defensive end edge in the first round, that could be something to look at. Somebody who's kind of fallen down throughout this season. I still think he has a lot of talent. Obviously, he's got great genes. Noah Sewell, the linebacker from Oregon, another great pick if you're able to get him maybe in the second, the third round. And somebody who's climbing up draft boards. I don't know how high he'll get. I don't know if he'll actually get into the first round. Devin Witherspoon, the cornerback from Illinois. Very lanky, kind of reminds me a little bit of Tariq Woolen. Can play a little bit of press, lanky, fast, taller guy. Somebody to look at if he does, find his. I think he's going to have a really high rise as the draft process goes through. But if he kind of sticks around that second round range, I would 100% take him around there.
All those players are really good who you just mentioned. But I'll say this. I think we talked about him earlier, Christopher Smith, the safety from Georgia. There is going to be a number of guys like him and Georgia players that are just going to be sprinkled throughout the draft. He's going to be one, maybe he's not a top 10, 15 guy, but still around later. I know a lot of people are talking about Byron Jones from Tennessee. What about the other Byron Jones from Alabama? I mean, this is a guy, I think Mel Kiper had him 10th on his list of outside linebackers that came out the other day. I mean, I think Byron Jones actually might be better than the other Byron Jones potentially. So, yeah, there's some sleepers out there in this draft. A lot of good defensive players. Gil writes, what's the Seahawks' biggest need this offseason? I don't know what means more than the other. I guess, defensive line, defensive tackle, edge rusher is 1A, 1B. But interior line at guard and center, I could argue, is just as big of a need. And then, let's talk Geno Smith for a second. What if it was a one-hit wonder with Geno this past year, which we don't know. It could be. Then you might actually need a quarterback for the long-term future. So I know that's a long answer, but I don't think there is a definitive answer, if that makes sense. Fill in the blank for me. What is the Seahawks' biggest need this offseason? Fill it in the blank for me. Biggest need for the Seahawks is what? Let me know in the comments section. Next question. If Quentin Johnston is up at 20, I'm down for that. I said so last week in our mock draft. I can't pass on Quentin Johnston. He was terrific. What we saw in the playoff against Michigan, what he was able to do for TCU, 6'4" receiver. He's fast. He can jump. He can get downfield. I mean, he's what you want. He's what you're looking for. I would love to see Quentin Johnston in Seattle. If he's there at 20, it's hard for me to say no. I'm with you there. Last question from Alex Tyler. Great name. How can we get better than the 49ers? That's kind of a loaded question, to be honest, because the Niners are loaded everywhere. Everywhere. I mean, their defense, their offense, the skill position players. I mean, to think they were already a good team and they bring in McCaffrey, and then the quarterback position, they lose their two quarterbacks, and Brock Purdy starts playing well. I think it's just one of those deals over time. You cannot focus on what the Niners are doing. You got to do what you can do to get better on your own, and then eventually hope it pays off and that you can coach through it and do those things there. To me, I understand the Niners have a great foundation of their own, but don't focus on the Niners. Focus on yourself and get better day by day, and eventually things will come to work out if you do what you're supposed to do. So it's a long road ahead, but I don't think that it's out of the question for Seattle to get there. Daily Seahawks videos here on the channels. We talk about your favorite team each and every day. If you're not subscribed already, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to the channel now, and we'll see you next time here on Seahawks Today. All right. Yeah. All right, guys, so here's what we'll do. Let me know what the biggest need for Seattle is. Fill in the blank in the comments section. We are 143 away from another dust boot. $100 gets you a spot in the Boot Hall of Fame. I'm going to put 2 minutes on the clock. We get a super chat. We stay live If not, we sign off when we call it a day, and we'll see you later on. But that is what's on tap. $100 super chat. We get you a boot Hall of Fame spot. 143. We take down another boot, and any super chat will stay on. You want to stay on? We need a super chat to keep the show going, or you can Venmo, as the Venmo has gotten a bit of a workout today. At Tyler Jones Live is where you can find me there. Mark says, well, I can't buy any super chats because I need to verify myself. Mark, I don't know why that is, but Venmo is always an option as well. So Venmo or super chat, either one is great. So Mark says, when will I get the boot and helmet? I've been told by the bosses it is in the mail, that it should be arriving in your direction here the next couple days. We also added something else for you too, Mark. So we gave you a little extra besides just the boot and helmet. So how much time we have on the shot clock? A minute gone by. We got 1 minute to go. We get a super chat. We stay live or a Venmo, either one. Otherwise, we sign off. 143 away from another Das Boot. 100 gets you another spot in the Boot Hall of Fame. I would love to redeem myself and do another Das Boot because I'll be honest, I expected more. I was disappointed in myself in that last boot. I would love to take another shot at it once again. So it's up to you guys if we make it happen or not. 20 seconds left on the clock. Mark says, awesome. I got some spots ready. Mark, we got you taken care of. We got some cool stuff for you beyond just that's going to be in your inbox besides just the boot and the helmet. Dong wants to know, where does the stream money go to? A good cause? So, Jeremy, I mean, you know about this more than me. You've been here longer than I have. Like, when we get the super chat money and stuff like that, I mean, we use it and we create jobs here at the company. It's a big deal. Like, it doesn't go back to just our pockets. We use it to be able to hire more people, to be able to do more content, to do more Seahawks stuff for you with the money that comes in. John, I can tell you it does not go to hookers, believe it or not, as that may be sound. All right, guys, I did not see a super chat come in. I will give it a second to clear because I know every once in a while that we made the mistake last week. There was a super chat that came in after we signed off. So I want to give some breathing room for a second before we call it a day. Jaden says same thing. Super chat is busted for me too. Are we being shadow banned? Are we being shadow banned by YouTube? They can't get the super chat button working today. Same thing. Venmo at Tyler Jones Live. That works too. Guys, I don't know why that's the case. I'm sorry that it happened to be that way. That's out of our control. But you can Venmo us. That also works as well. I will wait another second to make sure that we don't miss anything because we made that mistake last week. So let's see. A couple questions coming in. Will Levis could be the next Josh Allen. I don't know about that. That might be a reach. Duke says L to the super chat. Yeah. YouTube trying to shadow ban us. I don't know what to say. Dirty D. Thunder. All right. Just to be safe, because I know we've been screwed by YouTube and the super chat today, I'm putting 30 seconds on. We get a super chat in these 30 seconds. We're staying here. If not, we're signing off. I just want to make sure we don't miss anybody because we did last week sign off just a few seconds too early. So Venmo at Tyler Jones Live or Super Chat. I know there's been issues with the Super Chat button today, but we'll do what we can to make this work. And appreciate you guys being here. It's been a lot of fun, and we'll be back here next week, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. We're covering the offseason like no one else is. This is your channel. If you love your Seattle Seahawks, you want to be here each and every week here on Seahawks Today. All right. I'm not seeing anything else. Let's see. J.J. Watt, come to Seattle out of retirement. That would be interesting. if that happened. Don't see that happening. All right, Jaden with a $5 super chat. The super chat button is working. After much speculation of it not working, the super chat button has been fixed. Working? Now it is. Good. Yes, very good. Jaden with a $5 super chat. We owe the DK song. Did you talk about Kenneth Walker, Tariq Woolen, and Geno are finalists for their respective awards? We did not get to that today, actually. But yes, Kenneth Walker and Tariq Woolen, finalists for Rookie of the Year. Geno for Comeback Player of the Year. Well-deserved for those guys. Would love to see them ultimately end up with those awards. DK song for you, Jaden. 3, 2, 1. Chomping, carols chomping. No. Geno passes, no one stopping. DK. Touchdowns all day. He rules. Thank you, Jaden, for that. Elijah with a $1 super chat. Thank you, Elijah, for the love there. Guys, I'm glad the super chat button got fixed. That will do it for us. Let's see. Wayne says no on J.J. Watt. It'd be nice. Be nice. We're not going to hit on J.J. like that. J.J.'s a good dude. We will sign off. We will see you guys next week. Stay tuned to the channel. We got you covered. Have a great